What's up, guys? My name is Splattercat, and welcome back to the next episode of our Expeditions Conquistador LP. Where we had left off, we had suffered some setbacks, but luckily they were setbacks without any sense of permanence, I guess, and so we're not going to have to deal with that any longer. But where we're at right now, we were left with a choice. So after losing Isabella to Esteban, who slit her throat, unfortunately, we were not able to rescue her in time. I have been told that I chose the wrong choices to keep her alive, so unfortunately, as a captain, as a Jean-Luc Picard of sorts, I have just horribly failed, and I also don't have a deep, sexy British man voice, unfortunately. Were that the case, were my voice a bit bassier and a bit more posh, I think I could have rescued her, but a Jean-Luc Picard I am not, and so forth we must go and not focus on the past, because we can't save her now, not without zombie magic powers, and so without the voodoo that we do, unfortunately, she shall remain dead. So, without further ado, we had a choice in the last episode where we have to decide whether we wanted to save a Taino village, the location of which I have no idea, or we can go back to Santo Domingo and try and rescue our countrymen. Now, I left this up to democratic consensus, and so the vote came out. It was a simple vote. It was only like 4-1 or like 4-2 or something of that nature, but the Higgies had it, which is what I'm going to call Higgy from now on. It's called Higgy because it's easier for me to say, it's easier for me to maintain, and it's also more fun. Higgy sounds way more fun than Higgy, and so let's take a look at our map, and we'll figure out which direction we need to go. Now, I have been told via internet scouting by my lovely viewers that Higgy is somewhere over here, and so I think we're probably gonna head over into that direction. We're going to rumble in the jungle here, or instead of welcome to the jungle, we're gonna say let's wander through the jungle. And so Axel Rose, you are not welcome here, but I see a piggy here, and since I've been craving the bacon, we're gonna see if we can snag him. There we are. And with our remainder of moves, let me get myself oriented properly. So this right here is going to be north, and so we want to go east. And so let's head to the east towards the boot tip, the Italian type tip of the island, and see if we can find our way to Higgy. And if we can get to Higgy, we can get jiggy with the battling and save the Taino from the rebels that Leandra is currently leading. And so we're already out of movement points. Let's rest for the evening, make sure that we have everybody kind of queued up with the things we need to get done. We have 2 people on herbalism so that we can get ourselves set up with some herbs for the future. And then we've got 1 guy left over here who's going to be hunting. Now, the difficulties are right about where you would expect them to be for now, so there's not going to be a whole lot to worry about. Hopefully we'll do okay here. And it looks like we got those 14 medicines, 14 rations were preserved. Nothing else happened, but they found 11 food for the day. And so we're going to continue heading towards the east. I apologize for the camera angle, but for orienting purposes, I'm going to keep it set this way so that we don't end up going in a very strange and very wrong, in a perverse direction, unfortunately. And so there is a road up above us, which is tempting to run off down. I think I'm going to go with, let's go with a little bit of extra hunting here. Yeah, we're just going to have everybody just hunt like crazy because I don't want to have to dig into my supplies. Now, the guards allowed thieves to steal some of our metal. Unfortunate, but we did find some valuables and we did find some food for the day. And taking another look at my map, let's make sure, I believe, yeah, there's Santiago de los Caballeros. If we can get to there and then head to the southeast, I think we'll be in a reasonably decent spot. And so we'll stop off there, see if there's any supplies or anything of that nature that we can get our hands on, and that'll help us move appropriately into the future. Now, I could follow the road up here. Ooh, herb. Let's go ahead and snag that before we go any further. And we found equipment, but our hunting was our hunters were fail, unfortunately. Even though we doubled them up, apparently they were just tripping over one another and we're not able to get the work done that we asked them to. Let's head into town and take a look at our stocks and make sure that everything is where we want it to be. Make sure that we're not lacking in any particular direction. And so, going to the merchant here, we can ask for materials for barricades and things of that nature. I don't think we're really going to need them. We have a decent supply of valuables and things of that nature, so I think what I'll do is I'll trade out some of the valuables for a bit more equipment, because you can never be hurting for equipment. And actually, I think I'm going to go all in on the equipment and just grab as much as we can, because that still leaves me with a reasonable amount of valuables. And we've got so much medicine right now that we can actually trade with our medicine if need be in the future. And so let's take a look around and see if we can find Higgy. But first and foremost, what is this right here? Can I do a contextual action right here? I cannot. I was wondering, because there's a wood pile right here, if there was going to be some kind of context action we could take, but it looks like that's not going to be the case. Now, let's go ahead and rest for the eve before we cut a little bit more to the south and the east. And let me take a quick look here. I think I've got everything where I want it to be. and I believe we're gonna be okay here. So let me take just a moment and fix my microphone because it's falling over right now, which is thoroughly embarrassing. You would think I'd have more professionalism than that, but alas, the microphone is conspiring against me. It is trying to make me look bad. It's like, nyah, 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 nyah. That's how I picture a microphone laughing, if indeed a microphone could laugh. We've got a pool of resuscitation here, which is perfectly fine. They get everybody get all nice and nude and just swim around in nature and just start feeling better so they continue adventuring without getting all mutinous and crazy. And now here's a Taino village right here, but I don't know if this is the one that we want. Let me take a look at my map. Okay, and so we've hit that point. So let's stop here, and unfortunately we're gonna have to camp for the night. Once again, camping is one of those things. Oh, we had extra meat, unfortunately. I didn't notice. I should have, but our rations are so good right now that we don't really have to worry about all that excess. I'm not gonna stop there. I don't really see the point, but I think I should assign that equipment. Fortunately, I remember that we have equipment to assign, so let's go in here. He's all maxed out. Let's go ahead and max out our doctor as well. Now, I wish that giving him equipment to his range would also increase his chance to hit, but it does not. Let's take a look at our other individuals and see if there's someone better we can assign this to. So he can have Toledo plate mail. There it is. And once again, I don't know what's going on here, but my microphone is unfortunately continuing to attempt to fall over. I don't know if there's seismic vibrations or something of that nature occurring, but it is just not participating in the overall teamwork here. Now, because we can't give her a ranged weapon, unfortunately we can't assign anything further there. Everyone is more or less assigned, so I may actually consider giving... Yikes. Let's see here. Aside from the sabotage that's currently taking place, we may be overstocked on equipment, so I suppose I'll assign one of my other warriors who is less capably equipped, just in case we have to pull one of them in. And I guess that's probably the best I can do for now. Oh, let's not do that. The matchlock isn't going to come out. We're not going to break out the gats with her, more than likely. We're probably just going to keep her in melee, so we'll give her a bunch of armor just in case. And now we got to keep our eyes open for wherever this village might be. I saw a little bit of action there among the trees, a predator-esque housing location, unfortunately, but it's not anything. It's just the natural graphics of the forest. We've got a crop of piggies here, and we're going to track them down. Oh, and we're about to get attacked. And so it says, moving through the jungle, we hear the sounds of people nearby and investigate the noise. And you come into a creek where a group of natives similar in number to your expedition is setting up traps to hunt boars and the like. As soon as they notice your troops between the trees, they grab their weapons and shout angrily at you in their native tongue. Does anyone here speak Spanish? More shouting reveals that nobody does. Let's go ahead and fire a volley over their heads, because I get the feeling that we're in trouble here. And so it says the volley does the trick. The trappers scatter in disarray and some of them flee into the jungle. A handful of them hold their ground. And so Alejandro Pintado is going to be the hunter who remains. We're going to bring Pedro Alvarado. And then also just a bunch more warriors. I think I'm going to stop leaning on range so much and just bring a bunch of melee and a doctor at this point, because the tank and spank seems to work fairly well in this game. This game is a big one for the spanking, and so being the person that prefers to give the spanking rather than receive them, I am not freaky like that. We shall remain as it is. Oh, it's just... what, 4 against 6? God, this is going to be a slaughter. I actually feel kind of guilty. Preparation phase. Let's not even mess around with anything there. My scout is just going to rush ahead. And, oh, spike trapped. Okay, well, that allows me the chance to rethink my plans. And so he's going to retreat. Doctor! We'll have him do his deal. Our blue-shirted friend here, which don't think I don't catch the Star Trek reference there. Our blue-shirted friend is going to try and do his best to get everybody back into action here. And so actually, I think in the long run, I'm just going to set up a line right here. And we'll do what we can to keep everybody safe. And so let's drop into there. We'll get the doctor behind lines. And I think this is about as good as it's going to get for now. And since they have traps set up, I think it's only pertinent that we allow them to come to us. They're going to take a shot at the doc. Unfortunately, it's going to get him all poisoned up, so he's turning green at the gills at the moment. And feeling definitely not so good. And looks like, yeah, he's going to continue to get ticked away at. We're going to have our doctor heal him up for the time being. We're going to use sneak here. And... move at half speed, so sneak is going to allow her to flank this guy, And now that we have flanking, ooh, that did the trick. That did a nice little bit of damage and avoided that attack of opportunity. Here, I think it's in our best interest to make sure he goes down this turn. And given the lack of stiffness, the flaccidity, I guess, or the flaccid nature of the defense our opponents are putting up, this should just be a rather lackluster tactical exchange. This should be fairly easy, because flaccid enemies fall over. They fall over quite easily. And so let's get everybody situated. Hopefully there's no more traps in this little death alley right here. There was a place where I grew up called Death Alley where there was a highway that had no divider between the two, and they called it Death Alley or Blood Alley because people are always getting killed out there. But now people still call it that. Oh, hey, our doctor got a stab off. They call it Death Alley still, but they put up a giant barricade there now, a concrete barricade, so nobody dies out there anymore. So younger people don't really understand the moniker anymore, but it's still called Blood Alley by everybody. I guess old habits die hard, plus Blood Alley sounds way cooler than Highway like 12, if you know what I mean. I'm about to go drive down Blood Alley makes it sound like you're about to gamble with your life. And so let's move everybody into position to kill this last guy off. And since there's no real risk to my doctor, I guess I'll move him to there. And we'll get him his rifle. This is his rifle. There are many like it, but that one is his, but it misses proficiently because doctors don't shoot so well. And so we'll finish this one off. And were this Final Fantasy Tactics, I'd be choosing my targets a little bit better because the XP distribution would be important, but that's it. And so we wrap up the battle, and let's see what the spoils look like. The loudest sound in the jungle is once again whatever feathered nuisance kept you up most of the night. You order your men to check for survivors and anything useful they might have. And we get some full racks of boar meat, so 30 food, 2 equipment, and 250 valuables. So not much there. Teresa Sanchez solemnly submits a suggestion for your approval. We should at least bury the poor bastardos. Sure, why not? We don't want it to be stinky around our camp. And so the doctor grabs a few shovels and we bury the enemies. I don't see any problem burying them because this was really a communications breakdown. This always reminds me of something that I read in a book once, Ender's Game, where if you can't understand the language of the guy across the stream, there's no way to reason with him and you can't really tell him your story. And so that puts you in a very poor situation. In fact, it almost guarantees conflict. We have a lot of food to preserve this round. And so let me go through and get our hunters preservating. And so there we are. We got a couple people doing their deal right now, and that's maxed out. Everybody else is going to remain on hunting duty because any extra supplies we can get our hands on can't hurt. And so we got 24 rations, 112 valuables, and 9 meat that night. Not bad. Not a bad haul at all. All things considered, I think we're in a reasonably good spot. Now we've got a pool up here, a pool of restfulness is what I would call it were we in a fantasy game. And since we're exploring at the moment, I think I'll grab that. We're also going to obtain as many of these herbs as possible before we go much further. And let's see if we can find this Taino village now that we're all tapped out on interesting shiny things to throw our attention at. And it looks like no such luck there. So let's go up to everybody that's hunting. We're actually going to have them do herbalism right now because the herbs are going to be pretty valuable. We'll put everybody else back on hunting duty. And since Adel is not so good at hunting, I'm going to have him do herbalism to see if we can finish that off. So there we go with the Eve. We lost 9 metal to thieves, but we got 11 rations, 24 medicines, and 135 valuables. So it's not so bad. It's not the optimal result, but it is what it is. And wandering through the jungle here, I think this might be the location at which we're looking for our quest. So let's do it. Shortly before reaching the village, you can tell you're too late to stop Leandra's soldiers. The smell of burned wood and burned flesh permeates the jungle. That lovely Thanksgiving-y smell, but it's not so lovely when it's humans, unfortunately. And so we investigate the village. We dismount and take a handful of troops with us into the village. The jungle is mostly quiet, with the exception of few oblivious insects. It's clear that what happened here is already over by now. You enter the clearing and find much of what you expected. Charred skeletons, embers still glowing among the ashes. No bodies, but bloodstains in the grass and primitive weapons and broken pottery litters the sand. You hear voices from the center of the village. We'll sneak closer. A group of Spanish soldiers clad in the uniform of Leandra's company are standing in the circle of the village's center. It's hard to tell, but they're the survivors from the clash with Esteban's troops. A large group of bodies have been thrown into a pile, and the soldiers are arguing about their next course of action. Let's listen. I like to scout first. And the dispute is taking place between a short man with messy hair and a heavy-set woman with her face decorated in red war paint. The short man is not so much speaking as spitting his words at the woman. If we don't hold this village, Del Splatter might march his troops right in here and take all the loot while we're fighting Noriega. let him, then at least he won't be there with his people to fight at Noriega's side. We're needed in Santo Domingo, but we should regroup with Capitan Leandra for the big assault. Let's attack. We're going to kill him off now before we wait much longer, because it appears as though they've split their force, and we definitely need to head towards Santo Domingo. So let's slaughter these guys, and then we'll make our quick retreat back towards... Oh god, this is a somewhat grim location to have a battle. I'm actually glad we didn't bring too many ranged troops in, because it looks as though... Well, how many of them are there? 1, 2, 3, 4... Without a mini-map, they could be hiding off in the side in here. I have very bad eyesight, and to make that even worse, I'm not a perceptive individual, so there's another one. So it looks like it's like a 5-on-6. I'm not going to set traps for anything like that. Oh, a 6-on-6. Alright, well, we'll wait and see what they do. I don't think they have traps set up or anything of that nature. Oh, there's one behind the tree there that I missed. Okay, so it's an even fight, which is better than what I'm used to. Normally, it's a little bit more lopsided, so I'm going to set up a line right here in front. And once we set up a line, I'm going to have the doc in the back so he can run back and forth, dispensing the healing herbage as best as possible. So here's our first move. I'm going to have my scout set up right there. I'm going to have... Who is this? That's my doctor. Okay. I probably, during my preparation phase, could have set myself up a little bit better. I have a tendency to get ahead of myself, but right now I felt the urgency of needing to head to the aid of Santo Domingo, so I'm getting into the role-playing aspects of the whole thing, which, it's a flaw. Some people get into that sort of thing. Some people are all metagame. I'm a person that very much gets into what's happening. I start to get a feel for it, and I definitely want to jump straight into the action. I start to feel that blood boil. And so let's get some damage done here. Oh, he used up his last little bit of turn. And so can he take a shot? No. And so it's going to be up to our ranged contingent to handle this shot through the cracks here. It is nighttime, so unfortunately we may not have the best accuracy. Yeah, so there's that. And so thank you, by the way, for all of you who in the past episode elucidated, or at least enlightened me to the fact that darkness was affecting my attacks. I knew that to begin with, but for whatever reason, I had just absolutely just not thought about it, I guess. I don't know why, I just hadn't thought about it. We'll give my Doc a chance to take a shot. Oh, and hey, he came through for us. Well done, Doc. As a warrior and a scholar, you are unmatched. And so it looks like he's going to take shots at my hunter there. And he's got a better ranged contingent than I do. That's okay, though. It's not a huge deal. We want to take care of his melee first, and it looks like they're going to try and surround us, which is a strange choice of actions there, but, you know, we'll do what we're going to do. We have a flanking attack here, which is going to come from both of our units, and there we are. And so he's down, which is going to leave us with the unique opportunity of closing the distance with the hunters over here, at least one of them. Now, I think they may be trying to circle around to my doctor, actually, which is an interesting choice, but we're going to have my doctor heal my ranged guy here before my ranged guy makes his movement, and then he's going to move to here, where he's going to take a... Well, yeah, we'll have him take a shot there. And we can't guarantee the hit, but does he have any movement left? No. And so what I will do, however, in order to even that out, is I'll put a melee right here to block the hunter, because I get the feeling they're going to change their plan and come back around. Since we have a guy stunned, I'm also going to move another character to there to make sure that the range don't move around too much. And then my doctor can come towards the middle here and maybe bait some attacks of opportunity. Quite possibly. We'll see what happens. And no, they're not going to go for the attack of opportunity. They're actually going to settle in the center here. And that guy broke out a halberd from God only knows where. I don't know where he was storing that. But everybody's got a rather large pocket in their anatomy, and so we can reasonably assume he took the prison way out. You would wonder why my obsession with prison culture is so deeply entrenched in my mind. I can't really tell you. Maybe it's immaturity, who knows. And so we've got some damage here. We're going to have the Doc come forward and use his mini heal to offset that damage a tad. And as we go along, I'm going to have him step to the side. This gent is going to line up right here. He's going to take a swing there. These two are going to square off in mortal combat to the death, and we're going to have the doctor end his turn right there, possibly. He has a shot at that character, so we might as well let him take it. Who hasn't acted this turn? And so my scout has indeed acted, or done his action for the turn. Let's see what we can do here. I believe everybody's used up their turn. Yeah, nothing's lit up there. We have movement actions available. But let's just kind of let the melee unfold, and we'll just see how it goes. And so that was their turn for now. I think killing this guy so we can set up a flank might be a nice opportunity. And so that gave my scout bloodthirsty. Now, we really want to heal the scout because bloodthirsty means he's going to hit really hard next turn. And so we want him to bring the pain on this gent. Oh, we got a crit. We got a lucky crit right there. So we'll have him move out of the way, which is going to allow my hunter to step forward and take a shot at this guy. I haven't used the double shot just yet because, once again, I'll tell you, I always take the sure thing. It's just, I'm not a gambler. I'm not a gambler, which is weird because I love slot machines and I love gambling, but when I play games, I always go for the sure thing. I just don't know what that indicates about my psychology, but it must indicate something. I'm sure there's someone out there. If you watch Bones, let's see here, Sweets is my favorite character in that show. And I'm sure there's somebody out there like Sweets who's just analyzing the hell out of me. That, or maybe I'm just super arrogant and I'd like to think there is. That might be the case too. Never underestimate the power of one's own ego. And so we got a flawless victory there. No victims, aside from those on the enemy side. Oh my god, we got all kinds of stuff out of that. And so let's go through the butcher's bill here. Got 8 equipment, which is really good. We got 30 rations, and we got 30 medicine and 1,750, so 1,750 valuables. When all the rebels are dead, we search them, and we get a modest assortment of valuable trinkets and a lot of other things. We have the servants bring it all back to the carts, and with the equipment of our fallen enemies, where they're going, it's too hot to wear armor anyways. Yeah, it's unfortunate they were able to kill the natives before we got here, but on the plus side, we have a road which is going to guide us back to Santo Domingo. And so let's make sure that everybody here is doing their part before we head back there. So we've got everybody hunting and taking care of business. And our expedition has consumed the meat. Nothing else happened, but we did get food for the day. So let's head to the west because I feel as though Santo Domingo is going to be desperately needing our aid. I don't know how much XP we got there, so let me go ahead and check. I know we were around 310, 250 actually. I think 600 is what will allow us to put somebody up to sergeant. And that's really what I'd like to do with Ortega. Ortega has served us very well. He's done a lot, and while Vidal is attempting... Vidal is tempting because I very much like scouts in this game. I think the scouts bring a lot to the table that other classes just can't compete with. The sheer just mayhem that they create with their damage and their ability to move in and out of enemy lines strongly hints that I should think about making her the sergeant. But I think we'll go with somebody like Ortega first. He's more resilient, he's less likely to get killed in combat, and so I think that might be a good choice. We're going to grab what we can here because I am going to get traps set up because I know Santo Domingo may be a defensive mission. That seems like the way that it would be set up, and so in this case I'd like to get some more traps tinkered out. And so let's go to our doctors here, and we're going to give them the ability to make some more lanterns. We're just going to make tons and tons of lanterns because they seem really amazing. We're also going to have Adel make some spike traps. And so we've used up a bunch of our materials there. We found salvageable iron from a old battle. We got 11 meat from our hunters, and everything else has gone according to plan. So let's look at our map. We've got a long haul ahead of us, so I was a little worried we might have to try and squeeze in the Santo Domingo episode, or Santo Domingo into this episode, because, you know, it's a battle that I'm excited about. I really am. I've actually heard good things about this battle just through my perusings through the strategy that surrounds the game. I've heard from other people that Santo Domingo is one of the hardest fights in the game, and so I'm excited about the prospects of what's ahead of us because as of yet, the battles haven't been too difficult. Now, I was a little downtrodden after our last fight, which was understandable given my personality. I very much like to win, and because we ended up losing a character in conjunction with a battle that I felt didn't go according to plan, I was feeling a little down in the dumps. I was feeling like the dumps had been downed on me, to be more specific, but I've recovered now. I'm ready to go. I'm sticking and moving. I'm shadowboxing. I'm ready to defend my countrymen, and so let's do this thing. We'll head back, and it's very unlikely that we'll be able to do the fight in this episode, but we'll try it. We'll see if we can get there in time. I really don't think we're going to make it, though, so let's go ahead and camp for the eve. We don't have any contextual stuff going on. And so let's just continue having them consume as many of our materials as possible. We found 12 meat during the night there, but nothing else otherwise happened. So we'll keep on hustling. In the best case scenario, I'd love to set up right outside the city so that for our next episode, we can jump straight in and just fight like hell for what we have. And so there's a chest laying in the middle of the street. I don't really know if that's a booby trap or not, but we're gonna take it. It's not a treasure chest, which is the next best thing, but for now, we'll accept what we get. And we're getting closer to Santo Domingo. This may be our last camp for the evening. And so let's jump straight in. We've got some preserving to do, not gonna worry about it. 2 lanterns and another spike trap. And so we got 7 oil that night, which is great. It's gonna allow us to make more traps. And here we are. And so we're here in Santo Domingo. I don't think we're going to be able to resolve this fight in time. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break off the episode here, but please, please, please join me for an exciting episode next time where we defend our homestead. I apologize for the technical issues we went along with in this episode. I thought about doing little cuts, but it was just easier to grab the mic stand and be like, you know what, mic stand, you skinny little bastard, stand up. I demand that you stand. And so unfortunately we had some technical issues, but hopefully it wasn't too distracting for you. I apologize for them, and I will see you guys next time in the next episode of our Expeditions Conquistador Let's Play. My name is Splattercat, and take care out there, everybody.